One of the biggest obstacles about 300 Blackout is ammunition availability. It's pretty difficult to find a good quality round at a reasonable price. So in front of me here we have some 300 Blackout 220 grain subsonic rounds from FOG Firearms. They utilize the 220 grain Sierra Match King projectile, which I think is probably the best projectile for subsonic 300 Blackout on the market right now. You can also get them tailored to different barrel lengths. So you can discuss with them and get a round that has some of the benefits of hand loading without actually having to hand load. They come in at just under $1 a round, which is a very good price in comparison to a lot of the other 300 Blackout commercially available ammunition. The measurements as far as case length and bullet seating depth, cartridge overall length are all very consistent across the rounds, and the brass is great quality. After firing, I didn't have any signs of overpressure, no markings, nothing to make me worry about the quality of the brass, primers, or any of the components used. So everything looks good on the table here, but we'll go ahead and see how they function. Shooting out of a 7.5-inch barrel suppressed with a carbine buffer and P-mags, it cycled extremely well. None of the rounds went supersonic on me, and velocities all stayed right where they needed to. The ejection pattern was also great. I think the big key here is it functioned well, was reliable, and extremely consistent. A lot of the rounds I've shot in a similar price range from competitors just weren't that consistent. There was a lot of variation from round to round. Occasionally something would go supersonic, something would feel too hot, something would feel too light. This was not the case with the FOG ammunition. It was all right where I wanted it to be and performed very, very well. As far as accuracy goes, we used 3 types of ammunition, all 220 grain subsonics. First being the FOG that the video is about, of course. The second being my accuracy hand loads, also using 220 grain Sierra Match Kings, but tailored to the particular weapon I was using. The third being a 220 grade subsonic popular round from competition. So at 35 yards, you can see the FOG had a group size of 0.417 inches. This is just slightly bigger than my hand loads at 0.331 inches, and both of these were a much tighter group than the competition, coming in at 0.769 inches. Moving out to 65 yards, we can see the competition was at 1.332 inches. My hand loads were actually at 1.665 inches. However, I did throw that shot, so take that for what it's worth. Compared to the FOG at a 0.790 inch group. So here, this was certainly the tightest group, but would have been neck and neck with my hand loads if I hadn't thrown that shot. At just shy of 100 yards, we have the FOG up at the top at a group size of 1.690 inches. Moving the paper, we can see that my hand loads were at 1.434 inches, and the competition was opened all the way up to 3.841 inches. So I think you can see a pattern here, and this was across, other targets as well, that my hand loads really performed better, but only marginally better. The time commitment and amount of work and cost to tune this load was pretty extensive. So compared to a very slightly more expensive per round cost of the FOG ammo, it really performed, neck and neck with my hand loads. The more expensive commercial ammo was not nearly showing as tight a groups. So on this, kind of the final results, I think this is one of the more accurate commercial subsonic rounds out there. From my testing, it really showed, and other people commented on this as well, that it performed quite amazingly in the accuracy department. And when you take into account that this is cheaper than most competitor rounds out there, I really think this is a good value for the accuracy you're going to get out of it. It's also worth noting that this is a family-owned business out of Walker, Minnesota, and a portion of the proceeds go to On Eagle's Wings Ministries. So you really can't ask for much more than a small American business donating to a good cause and providing a great product. The ammo was extremely consistent, accurate, and affordable, so I do recommend it.